Welcome, everyone. I know you're here for a story, but before we begin, I want you to think about the people you see every day, the ones who blend into the background of your life. The barista who remembers your order, the bus driver with the kind smile, the janitor who cleans your office after you've gone home. What if I told you that one of those people, a man most everyone overlooked, was the secret hero of a story so profound it changed countless lives? This is one of those stories. And if you believe in the power of kindness, in the magic of human connection, you're going to want to see this through. So, grab a tissue, get comfortable, and make sure you're subscribed, because stories like this are why I started this channel, and I share them with you every single week. The alarm buzzed at 4:15 a.m., a harsh, metallic sound in the perpetual quiet of Leo's small apartment. He'd been awake for 10 minutes already, listening to the soft, rhythmic breathing of his 7-year-old daughter, Chloe, who was sleeping in the next bed, just a few feet away. This was their world, a two-room existence built on love, sacrifice, and the faint smell of bleach that clung to his work clothes. Leo was a janitor at the prestigious Titan Technologies corporate tower, a job he was deeply proud of because it paid the bills and, more importantly, allowed him to be there for Chloe. His shift started before dawn so he could be home to make her breakfast and walk her to school. His own dreams of college had been erased by a single pink line on a pregnancy test, and the mother had chosen to disappear rather than face the responsibility. But Leo never saw Chloe as a burden. She was his purpose, his entire universe. Her asthma, however, was a constant, whispering fear in the back of his mind, a financial sword of Damocles held aloft by the thin thread of his janitorial insurance. Part of his morning routine, after his first cup of weak coffee, was a walk through the city's Central Park, a shortcut to the Titan Tower. It was there, on a bench overlooking the mist-covered pond, that he first saw her. A woman in a crisp military uniform, her posture ramrod straight even in exhaustion, was gently rocking a stroller back and forth. Her eyes, the color of a stormy sea, were shadowed with a fatigue no amount of sleep could cure. The baby in the stroller was fussing, a thin, reedy cry that spoke of a long, difficult night. Leo, a father himself, felt a familiar tug in his chest. The next morning, she was there again. And the next. It became a silent, unspoken part of his journey. He'd nod respectfully, she'd offer a small, tired smile in return. He noticed things. The way her uniform was always immaculate, but her hands trembled slightly as she tried to soothe the baby. The way she'd check her watch anxiously, as if racing against an invisible clock. One bitterly cold Tuesday, the baby's cries were more distressed than usual. Leo watched as the soldier, he'd secretly named her, the captain in his mind, fumbled with a bottle, her frozen fingers struggling with the cap. Her shoulders slumped in a moment of pure defeat. Without a second thought, Leo changed his course. He walked over, his own worn thermos in hand. "Ma'am," he said, his voice softer than the rasp he used with most adults. "It's just some warm water. Not too hot. Might help with the formula." She looked up, startled, her guard instantly up. But the genuine concern in Leo's eyes, the lack of any ulterior motive, disarmed her. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice husky. Her name, she offered, was Maya. That small interaction became a doorway. Every morning, Leo would stop. Sometimes he'd bring an extra thermos of hot water. Another time, he crafted a tiny, silly puppet from a lost glove he'd found. And cleaned, making the baby, a boy named Noah, giggle for the first time Maya had heard in days. He became a steady rock in her turbulent early mornings. He never asked probing questions. He simply offered quiet, practical help and a non-judgmental presence. Maya, in turn, began to open up, piece by piece. She told him she was on temporary leave, navigating the difficult transition back to civilian life while caring for a newborn alone. She spoke of the pressure, the overwhelming sense of being constantly judged, of having to be perfect. "Everyone expects a soldier to be strong all the time," she confessed one morning, her voice barely a whisper. "They don't see the person who's scared she's failing her own child." Leo understood. He shared snippets of his own life, stories about Chloe's brilliant drawings, her obsession with constellations, the constant, low-grade fear of her next asthma attack. They were two parents, from impossibly different worlds, meeting in the quiet, pre-dawn light, building a fragile bridge of mutual understanding. The conflict arrived on a rainy Thursday. Chloe's asthma flared up badly, leading to a frantic trip to the emergency room and a bill that dwarfed Leo's meager savings. The world, which had felt a little brighter because of his morning interactions, suddenly turned dark and heavy. He was broken, terrified of losing the one thing that mattered most. The next morning, he was a ghost of himself. His movements were sluggish, his eyes red-rimmed. When Maya saw him, her professional training instantly kicked in. "Leo, what's wrong? The dam broke." He told her everything: the hospital, the bill, his fear that he was failing Chloe just by being a janitor, by not being enough. Maya listened, her expression unreadable. When he finished, she placed a hand on his arm, a gesture of surprising solidarity. "You are enough, Leo," she said with a firmness that brooked no argument. "You are the best father I have ever had the honor of witnessing. Don't you ever forget that." She scribbled a phone number on a scrap of paper. "This is my direct line. If you need anything, anything at all, you call me. Promise me." He took the paper, touched, but assuming it was just a kind gesture. He was a janitor. She was a soldier. What could she possibly do? A week later, the storm hit. It was the day of the Titan Technologies annual review, where the corporate bigwigs and, rumor had it, a high-ranking military liaison from the Defense Department were touring the facility. The building was abuzz. Leo was tasked with ensuring the top-floor executive suites were spotless. As he was polishing the glass table in the main boardroom, the doors swung open and a group of suits filed in. And at the head of the group, wearing a Navy admiral's uniform adorned with enough medals to sink a small ship, was a stern-faced man with a gaze that could cut steel. This was Admiral James Thorne, a legend known for his ruthlessness and brilliance. The Admiral's eyes scanned the room, and for a fleeting second, they landed on Leo. A flicker of something passed over his face. Disdain. Recognition. Leo couldn't tell. He quickly finished his work and slipped out, feeling invisible once more. Later that afternoon, as Leo was mopping the expansive, empty lobby, a pair of highly polished dress shoes stopped in front of his mop bucket. He looked up. It was Admiral Thorne. "Janitor," the Admiral's voice was clipped, authoritative. "Yes, sir." Leo's heart hammered against his ribs. Was he in trouble? Had he missed a spot? The Admiral's stern expression didn't change, but his eyes were searching Leo's face with an unnerving intensity. "I understand you've been assisting my daughter." Leo's brain stalled. "Your daughter, sir." "Captain Maya Thorne," the Admiral said, and for the first time, a crack appeared in his granite facade. "And my grandson, Noah." The world tilted on its axis. The park, the bench, the tired, young soldier. The Admiral's daughter. The pieces crashed together in Leo's mind, creating a picture he never could have imagined. He had pictured Maya as a junior officer, perhaps struggling like he was. Not as royalty from the highest echelons of military power. I didn't know, sir," Leo stammered, his knuckles white on the mop handle. "I am aware," the Admiral said. He looked away, his gaze drifting to the rain-streaked windows. "My daughter and we have had our differences. My career has always been my primary focus. I was not supportive when she told me she was pregnant. I told her it would ruin her own promising career. We haven't spoken properly in months." He paused, the admission clearly difficult. "But she called me last week. She told me about a man. A kind man. A janitor who helped her every morning without asking for anything in return. She told me he was the reason she remembered what true strength looks like. It isn't always in following orders. Sometimes, it's in offering a warm bottle to a stranger's baby." The Admiral then did something that would be seared into Leo's memory forever. He reached into his breast pocket and pulled out a check. It was not from the Navy. It was a personal check, made out to Leo, for an amount that was not only enough to cover Chloe's hospital bill, but to secure her future. "I cannot repay you for your kindness," the Admiral said, his voice thick with an emotion Leo never thought he'd hear from such a man: humility. "But I can ensure your daughter gets the care she deserves. This is not a payment. It is a father's gratitude, from me to you." Leo was speechless, tears welling in his eyes. But the resolution didn't end there. The Admiral, using his considerable influence, didn't just write a check. He connected Leo with a nonprofit that helped skilled workers who had to leave their education get certified. Leo, it turned out, had a genius-level aptitude for HVAC systems, something he'd tinkered with for years. Within a year, with the Admiral's referral and his own hard work, Leo became a licensed technician, tripling his income and saying a final, grateful goodbye to his mop and bucket. Maya and her father reconciled, their bond strengthened by the quiet intervention of a janitor. Noah grew up knowing his Uncle Leo, and Chloe's asthma, with the best care available, became a manageable part of her life, not a source of terror. So, you see, the people we pass by every day, the ones we barely notice, they are not just background characters in our story. They are the heroes of their own, and sometimes, they are the very ones who hold the power to change ours. Leo's story is a testament to that. It's a reminder that no act of kindness, no matter how small it seems, is ever wasted. It ripples out into the world in ways we can never predict. If this story moved you, if it reminded you of the hidden heroes in your own life, do me a favor, hit that like button, share this video with someone who needs to see it, and subscribe to the channel. Because the world is full of stories waiting to be told, stories that prove that hope and humanity are still the most powerful forces we have. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.